pull your kids out of government schools as soon as possible. Today, tomorrow, the next day, at the very least. It is doing nothing good for them, for yourself, or your family whatsoever, and in the long run it's doing nothing but negative stuff for future generations. And I say this wholeheartedly. I pulled my kids out, I believe, after their 3rd and 5th grade, so before 6th grade and before 4th grade. I pulled them out. And yeah, in the beginning I didn't know what I was doing. It was nerve-wracking because I assumed, and I put on a pedestal, well, the teachers know what they're doing, and I don't want to pull my kids out and ruin them for the rest of their lives, that kind of stuff. I don't want to have them sit home and I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm just, throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks, that kind of stuff, because this whole corporation or the whole school system has been in place for, over 100 years, and they know what they're doing, and they're going to do their best that they can for our children, was my thinking. So why I pull them out, there's going to be a huge gap there in education or whatever, development, whatever. Well, I soon found out, and it took me a couple months at the most, soon found out that it was nothing like that. And everything I was doing was for the benefit of my children and the relationship with me and my children and my wife, their mom, that kind of stuff, and just have the family just grew. And my children just started to take off and prosper. My youngest, he was labeled with dyslexia, and a few times there in the schools, they had talked about, well, we need to maybe have special education, or maybe he needs some sort of medication, or whatever the case was. And we always said, no, absolutely not, we're not going to do that. Come to find out, once I started working with them, after a couple months, and I was reading with them, they were reading, he was reading, our youngest was reading, so was the older one, but every day, for the most part, during the week, we would sit and we would spend an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and we'd go through books and read. And I would have my youngest read so many pages and then stop, and then my oldest read so many pages, and then they would go back and forth with a number of books a day. I would pull maybe 3 books, maybe 4 books, and we would just read through them, sections, and that's what we did, day after day after day, until we finished one of those books. Then we put another one in the pile, another one in the rotation of the 4, or whatever the number was. And after not long, all of a sudden my youngest is starting to read and starting to recognize and starting to write his B's and D's correctly, and it was night and day. It was amazing, and even my oldest could tell. And my wife, after a few months, was like, holy cow, this is a different kid. That's what it felt like, reading, and just the whole interaction with grammar for the most part. But anyways, so I did that, and I also did common words. I typed up a thing, and I think it was 3 or 4 sheets that each time, and had common words. So, because I myself cannot stand when I'm trying to communicate with people, and whether it's email or it's online or whatever it is, or I get letters, that kind of stuff, and there is spelled incorrectly, or other examples of, accept, that kind of stuff. No, like no, not now, or now instead of now, that kind of stuff. And it just really bothered me. So I did this whole thing of common words, and I typed up all these common words, those, for example, just a plethora of them, and they had to go through those common words once a week, maybe twice a week, depending, but usually once a week, and then write down what each common word meant, how to use it in a sentence, and that was it for the most part. And as time went on, then pretty much my kids, after maybe a year of this, they could tell the difference of common words. These common words, which a lot of people, adults, and adults older than me, and adults in my generation, generations younger than me, cannot. Okay, they cannot figure out how to spell your. Like, this is your pie. It's Y-O-U-R is how they spell it. Well, not really. Or maybe this is you're going there. Then they spelled it Y-O-U-R. Or maybe you're going there. Or this is your pie. They spell it Y-O-U''R-E. And that's not right. So they just throw your there all the time, Y-O-U-R, no matter what the circumstance and how you use it. Same thing with their clothes, they're going there, they're doing this, that kind of stuff, or I set that there kind of deal, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so I went through this common words. I had them do that. Then math, I had them do math, and the math I did, do I have anything here? I thought I had examples, some of the math books. Sorry if I'm paraphrasing. So anyways, so some of the math books, these are just the discs from them. So I downloaded these discs. I purchased this stuff, downloaded these discs, and I think nowadays you can't get discs. You have to just download the software on your computer, and then I set it up. My one son had a computer he would do it on. My other son had a separate computer they would do it on. He would do it on, and like this kind of, I believe it's called, Jeepers is it called? I thought it was Teaching Textbooks. So teachingtextbooks.com is how you get there. So like these are examples, and then within these they had different, these are different discs, and like I said, I don't think you can buy the discs anymore, it's all online. But they had so many different lessons, that kind of stuff. And from there, like this for example, from there you could have it, you can go through and you get a textbook, and you can actually physically check all their homework, that kind of stuff, by pencil or pen if you wish, if you had them fill that out, or just do it all online, or do it all on the computer, like I was doing. And then from there, it would grade them, and there's actual parts in here where if they don't understand, then they can give an example, and this will teach them an example, and they go over a few examples, that kind of stuff, so this will help them. I also helped too, but this was where they started. If they still didn't get it, then I would step in and I would explain to them even better, but this was a great tool. And if you want to, give this to them and then do it and install it, and then you go through, and after maybe a week of it, you can go online or go on their computer, whatever you're doing, and check the week, whatever you set for assignments, and check how good they did, what the percentage was they got, and that kind of stuff. Then you can have them redo that lesson if they didn't get it correctly, or have them redo certain problems from that lesson if they have to go through and revisit that because they didn't quite get it, or you can see that they aced it, and then just move on to the next lesson. This was simple and really easy. Like I said, teachingtextbooks.com is where to get this from. There might be better or more information or more ways to do this. I don't know, but this is what I used. Also, I took them on, before this, also I tried to teach them construction stuff, because real physical stuff to learn. So like plumbing, electrical, building stuff, that kind of deal. And so we started small. I had them do, some wood stuff or some other stuff on paper to figure that kind of stuff out. And then after a while, I forget the timing, was it a year or two? Maybe then we moved to real stuff. I mean, they actually did real stuff. They did some work on homes, garages, that kind of stuff. For example, they sheetrocked a garage, insulated the whole thing, and they sheetrocked it, and they did that kind of stuff. That was when they were really young. That's when they had started, maybe 4th and 6th grade age, or maybe the summer of that before they went to 5th and 7th. I forget, but it was right around there, so it wasn't much after I had started homeschooling or home educating. Also, I replaced bathroom and kitchen faucets. They helped with replacing some of the plumbing below. They helped with some of the traps and that kind of stuff, cleaning of. They replaced light fixtures. They rewired some stuff, just simple rewiring, that kind of stuff. and I helped them with that. And also, they did a rough-in electric for a complete pole barn. They did all the roughing, and then from there, I had other people help me, and we hooked it all up and made it live and active. But they did almost all the complete roughing. So just stuff like that, and that's real education. Now they can do this kind of stuff. Actually, my sons both are working construction for a general contractor nowadays. So this is real stuff they can really do. But anyway, so then I also brought them on field trips. I brought them on real field trips. My wife and I, she was able to get away, and so we would leave the house and do some stuff. Sometimes my wife was with us. Sometimes it was just me and the boys. So, for example, with that construction stuff, I took them to your Home Depot or your Lowe's. We would get the stuff that was needed, pick it up. They'd go through all that stuff, whether it's the wood or the insulation or the sheetrock, whatever, and bring it back. And they were all involved in that kind of stuff. So they sort of got the inkling of that, what kind of screws you needed, everything that was needed, the hardware, that kind of stuff, what kind of paint, etc. So they did a lot of field trips there for real practical things. Also, with that, my wife and I took the boys, and we left and we went out of state. We went to Kansas City, Missouri, to the World War I Museum. And we went there. We spent a long time there going through it, that kind of stuff. And actually, we went out and got a tour also there. And I'll then just skip to this. Right now, depending on what state you're in, this might be viable, may not. But I was able to write most of that stuff off for educational. I mean, they steal this stuff from you, this money, this currency from you. They call it taxes. They call you a taxpayer. No, it's just theft, in my opinion. But they steal this from you. But if you can write that off somehow for real reasons, education is a great reason for your children. You can write that off, and that's less they can steal from you. That's just something great. You can do this all the time. I also taught them about the foods, a little bit. I don't do a ton of this, but how to do cooking, that kind of stuff, just simple meals. And I'll go through some of the books too that we had read, like I had talked about. The boys had read, so there's Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is a great book. I'm just going to drop these here. I got Ponzi Factor. Ponzi Factor is highly recommended. And like I said, I didn't stick with, even though they're going to 4th grade and 6th grade, I didn't stick with their grade level stuff. They were reading real lesson stuff, real world, adult stuff. And yes, it was hard for my youngest with his dyslexia, that kind of stuff, and even difficult for my oldest at times because some of the words and some of the writings, especially with this book, Economics in One Lesson, the way it's written by Henry Hazlitt. But from there, they just grew and they spurred. I mean, I would also, I'm just jumping around, still just showing these books, but would also have them look up a word once a day in the dictionary and then write the definition of the use of it, so they could learn a new word every week. How the economy here's why crashes. That's another one that we had read. All these are financial for the most part. When Money Destroys Nations, and we had The Creature from Jekyll Island. This is a great read with them, and yes, it's a large book, but yeah, the boys did do it. I mean, they read it, and I was there with them, and I would correct my youngest and my oldest at times, and help them to read through some of the difficult speed bumps they had. Also, I did some stuff with physical stuff and some stuff with medical or health wise. So they read like this: the whole thing on Duchamp and Pasteur, the lost chapter in the history of biology, and there's other. I didn't grab any more books on health or that kind of stuff, but there was a large number of books we read through with that. Also, I had a whole number of these other stuff on financial and that kind of stuff. But anyways, Um, there's no reason to have them in government schools, and there's no reason to have them being indoctrinated. Like I say, the government schools are only to indoctrinate, teach lies, pull children away from their families, away from their parents, and destroy the families at the same time. That's what it does. That's what they do. That's why nowadays I have so many people in my family, aunts and uncles, that kind of stuff, where they're like, I don't know what happened because my children don't talk to me that much. They think I'm wrong. They say my beliefs are incorrect. I'm old, I'm dated, that kind of stuff. Whether it's on the medical end or it's on the financial end or whatever, they don't believe me. They say I don't know what I'm talking about. I didn't go to school for this. I didn't go to school. I went to school way back then, that kind of stuff. And because of that, their whole family itself just has gotten separated. They don't believe their parents. They think their parents are stupid or misinformed, that kind of stuff, because they don't think like they do. They don't think like they're indoctrinated. They're brainwashed like their children have been, and that kind of stuff. So it's sad to see. So what happens at a young age, you push your kids off to these government schools. Well, right that moment, you're saying, okay, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to sit here at home, whatever the case might be. You go here with these other adults for 8 hours a day at least, and you go with them and you be with them. And they'll educate you, they'll talk to you, they'll help you through things. Stay away from me because I'm busy or whatever I'm doing. I can't have this bond anymore, so I'm going to separate this bond that you and I had. I'm talking my children or whatever. In this scenario, I'm going to give you some other adults and some indoctrination camp that they call K through 12, and they'll take care of you for 12 years. Most of the time, because I won't see you 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'll see you a little before you go to bed. I'll see you a little bit when you wake up. That's about it. And then with this whole sports thing on top of it, nowadays that even separates you more. So now you have even less time that you'd had maybe 20 years ago with your children. So that's what's happened. That's what's happening. And it's just getting worse and worse. So that's why I say it is detrimental that you keep your kids in these government schools. It's horrible. It's so important to pull them out. Pull them out now, away from that, and take them back and start building this relationship that you once had or you once had an opportunity to do. No matter how old they are, pull them out, these government schools. And I'll call universities government schools also. Pull them out. It's just costing you money. And costing you money to have them indoctrinated in this indoctrination prison camp is what I call it. But anyways, there's a few more points I want to talk about. Can't think of it at the top of my head. But anyways, I think you got the gist of it. Like I said, it's not a big deal. The people who are teaching your children right now, I say that lightly, babysitting your children right now, are less educated and probably not nearly as smart as you are at all. For real. So, your children are better off with you. Just for that aspect, but also for the aspect of having that tight bond, that loving relationship with your family that will grow as they grow and you guys grow together. But if you separate them and put them in these camps, these K through 12 and university, you're destroying that bond. It's done because what they do is when they're in these, they start to get indoctrinated more and more, and then the divide becomes larger and larger because that's part of their programming. That's part of their motivation is to separate you from the children. But anyways, that's all I say. I want to thank you for watching. If you like this, like, share, subscribe. As always, stay vigilant for yourself, your health, your family, protect your well.